Okay, our next 1,000 point conflict in the Crusade, and its supply cache. Hive Fleet Leviathan for transhuman on synapse, and mini transhuman on non-synapse, and a single dice reroll for each unit in both shooting and melee. I will be sticking with the Prime as my Warlord. He has a Venom Cannon, the Reaper of Obliterax, and the Warlord trait of Synaptic Tendrils, so he can use Alpha Warrior to re-roll wound rolls of a 1 and use it twice. He also became blooded, and I'm going with Armoured Biomorph for an extra point of toughness. He'll be embedded with his usual 6 Tyranid warriors with dual bone swords for the extra attack. 2 of them will be spending 5 points each for Venom Cannon, and the rest have Death Spitters, with my few leftover points going on Toxin Sacks. The Tyranid warriors are battle hardened, and their battle trait is Veteran Warriors for re-rolling 1s to hit, and Armoured Biomorph for that extra point of toughness. There will also be a 3 warrior objective holding squad with 2 warriors with dual bone swords and death spitters, and 1 of them with a venom cannon. Like the other traits and relics, these were purchased with requisition points, but in matched play, the Neurothrope will use the Hive Predator stratagem to acquire the Warlord trait of direct guidance to give a unit +1 to hit. Also, rarefied enhancements to give it the Resonance Barb relic. It knows Catalyst, Onslaught and Paroxysm, and the Leviathan power of Hive Nexus. And it has Psychic Might, so it can manifest an additional power. 3 Zoanthropes that know Hive Nexus and Psychic Scream. Mostly these bugs will be throwing out smites. 3 Venomthrope that are also blooded, and they have instinctive autonomy to increase synapse to 18 inches instead of 6, because I like sending them forward to snag and bog down the foe, their grasping tendrils stopping them from falling back, which Ultramarines like to do. The Hive Tyrant has a heavy venom cannon, monstrous bone sword, and a lash whip, and has a Warlord trait of adaptive biology for a 5-up save on lost wounds. In addition to the Hive Nexus, this big bug knows Catalyst and Paroxysm. He became blooded last battle, and so he's also taking Armoured Biomorph to get his toughness up to a stonking 9. Accompanying him into the fray are 3 Tyrant Guard with adrenal glands, so they can try and keep up and to make them hit just a little harder. Same ones as last time. Assassin for us both, because we both have 3 characters. The Ultramarines are taking No Fear for experience with every morale check, and I'm going with Sentinel. First up, the battlefield needs rotating. I'm the attacker, and we start taking turns placing objectives 6 inches from the edge of the battlefield and 6 inches from other objectives. This is a nice straightforward battle. Take and hold as many objectives as possible and get more victory points for holding more than your opponent. The defenders begin deploying, the intercessors get in cover. A 3-man unit of Tyranid warriors in obscuring and on the objective. These are my Sentinel fellows, whose job it is to sit there and as things get stuck in, jump onto the roof and start with the venom cannon fire as needed. A captain joins the squad in the ruin, not in obscuring, but benefiting from cover. Venomthropes, a little bit of cover from the ruined wall, and with their foul spores and 4 wounds, they should be okay. A lieutenant joins the party in the ruin. 3 Zoanthropes in obscuring behind the industrial thing, and Hellblasters take the high ground and warm up those monster weapons. Not quite enough room for everyone, so a few take places in the downstairs. The Tyrant Guard. I pondered behind this pipe, but they are already costing my Hive Tyrant 2 inches of move, and crossing the pipe will be difficult ground and another 2 inches. They are just bullet magnets, so let's get on with it and put them in the open. They are in Foul Spore's range, so they basically have cover. But wait, how about put them behind this little bit of wall and in front of the Venomthropes? The Assault Intercessors in some obscuring, and surprise surprise, the Hive Tyrant is with the Tyrant Guard. Kind of makes a redeploy useless if you have the bodyguards, because as soon as you put them in, you know exactly where the Hive Tyrant is going to be placed. Anyways, the apothecary joins the rave, and then I drop my main warrior unit behind the pipe in the middle to provide ranged weapon support as I wait and see how things are coming together in the early rounds, and the neurothrope over by the zoanthropes. Okay, here we go. I win the roll-off, and so we'll be going first. I am holding off on a synaptic imperative for now. I pondered warp shielding, but I think I'm good to hold off. The neurothrope sends +1 to hit with direct guidance onto the Tyranid warriors. The Tyrant Guard move forward and the Hive Tyrant stays right on them. We have just got the data slate, so the bodyguard rule that was absurdly exploitable is now just look out sir, but can apply with less than 3 models. Oh, and power armor now adds AP -1 unless already under an effect that does that, and it doesn't help if you have shields and such either. The Venomthrope float forward to keep the others in the protective cloud. That's what I like about Venomthrope now. They can advance, keeping others protected, and if you focus on them with your fire, cool, another layer of Tyrant Guard. If not, when they get into melee, they are quite nasty with strength 5, 5 attacks, and the chance of chucking out a mortal wound in each fight phase. The zoanthropes float forward a little and into obscuring while staying on the objective. I was going to advance with the warriors, but let's hold off and see what happens. Keep them in reserve for now and providing ranged fire. I also pondered moving my 3-man squad onto the roof so they could start shooting, but they will be within Hellblaster range, and being just a 3-man squad, they could be the focus of the whole barrage, costing me a unit and losing me the objective as well. Keep lurking guys, you'll have your day soon enough. Psychic, and the neurothrope sends its ability of warp siphon up the synaptic chain to the Hive Tyrant, because I really want Catalyst on those Tyrant Guard, and I definitely don't want to perils. 3d6 and discard 1 on tests. Goes off on a 10. Then, let's go with Hive Nexus to put Psychic Augmentation on the Zoanthropes. Chaining up Paroxysm to try and affect the Hellblasters, stop them overwatching and giving them -1 to wound. But it fails! His third power is Onslaught, chained all the way across the board and onto the Venomthrope, because they advanced, which means they can now charge if I make the roll. But I do have a plan to ensure that happens. Stay tuned. The Hive Tyrant smites into the Apothecary to try and deal with the medic ahead of time. It goes off, not a super smite, and 1 measly wound. Okay, but then he does get Catalyst off on the Tyrant Guard. And finally, the Zoanthropes drop their smite, and this too fails. Quite the feeble psychic phase for me here. On to shooting. The Hive Tyrant fires with his heavy venom cannon. -1 to hit because of the cover, and is going for the Hellblasters. Transhuman goes up for wounding on a 4+ only. 3 ups to hit, re-rolling 1s, so I want anything but a 2. So of course I rolled 3 of them. 2 Tyranid Warrior Venom Cannon. There are more than 5 guys being targeted, so Blast does a minimum of 3, which is the max for the cannon anyways. 6 shots, +1 to hit, with veteran warriors re-rolling 1s. All 4 hit, 4 up to wound, re-rolling 1s because of Alpha Warrior, 7 wounding hits, 10 wounds. The Apothecary can negate on 6s and gets 3 saves. 3 scary artillery guys fall to the ground, lifeless and limp. I now activate the stratagem Shard Lure. Like a laser designator, this means that the enemy unit has basically been lased, and anyone charging them gets to roll an extra d6 and discard 1. Great strat, very handy, intrigued to see if it works though. That's got to be creepy. You're hit, there's chitin shards jutting out of you, and suddenly all of the Tyranids are charging your way, focusing in on it, like an incoming stampede artillery barrage. Anyway, Death Spitters, 4 ups to wound, nasty roll, only 8 wounding hits. Cover and Armour of Contempt, 5 wounds. The Apothecary botches his job and Astartes perish. The Prime fires his venom cannon and does one wounding hit. On to charging. The Venomthropes need an 8 and fail, even with Onslaught and 3d6. Weak. Initially the Marines committed to Overwatch, but with the Ruin being defensible, we decided to rewind time, ditch the damage they did, and so they'll opt for set to defend, for +1 to hit in the fight phase. Attracted by the chitin lure embedded in some hapless Marine, the Tyrant Guard charge, and make it, as does the Hive Tyrant. Monstrous Bone Sword, 5 hits, Transhuman is up, but only 1 hit, -3 AP because of Armour of Contempt, but the 3 wounds do slay an Intercessor. The Tyrant Guard roll pretty feeble, and so only do 2 wounding hits, but I did forget about the extra attack for being in range of the Hive Tyrant. But hey, it's the first time I've ever actually used them in combat. When I used them in the Crusher Stampede game, they were massacred crossing the battlefield, and the last game they ended up securing and holding an objective for me, so the extra attack is to be recalled for next time. I opted for Rending Claws for the acute armour penetration, and there's 1 save. The Intercessors fight back with +1 to hit. No heroic interventions because, although it says no fear, they do just a little. Maybe an asterisk is in order to have trepidation listed discreetly at the bottom of the banner. Re-rolling 1s because of the captain, I really need to take his ass out. Re-rolling wounding rolls because of the lieutenant, gonna have to take him out as well. 12 wounds, but no AP, and my chonky guys have a rather impressive 2-up save. 1 goes through and Catalyst stops it. Hell yeah! Quite the upgrade from seeing all 3 get smushed turn 1 even with Crusher Stampede. Marine morale checks, not really to risk fleeing, but to get the agenda experience points it will earn.
The time for battle is now!
The Assault Intercessors draw their pistols, rev up those chainswords, and start moving forward to get into better charge range. The officers also get themselves situated for a charge on my Hive Tyrant. The captain takes the high ground to spread his aura far and wide. The Apothecary brings back a Hellblaster, and with his D3 heal, gets himself back onto full health. The rumble occurring beneath their feet mean that the Hellblasters go for the Venomthrope. Some of them are protected by the pipes for +1 saving throw versus ranged, some of them are not, but they all have -1 to hit because of the Stinky Cloud. Their virulent barrage takes out a Venomthrope. The Assault Intercessors with their pistols all open up on the Tyranid warriors, -1 to hit because of the pipe, and a single wound that they save. Some others shoot at the Venomthrope, -1 for the wall, -1 for the cloud, but you can only have a maximum of -1, but the extra point of armor save from the pipes will be nice. Yep, no damage inflicted. Charging. The Assault Intercessors get a nice high roll and spread along the rear of my Tyrant Guard as they wiggle their claws through the windows and breaches in the ruin, seeking the biomass within. Gene Rot Might for auto wound on 6s, and they are in aura for both Captain and Lieutenant. Crap. And here come the giant handfuls of dice. What are these guys, part orc? Re-rolling 1s to hit from the Captain, 3 Thunderhammer auto wounds, the red dice, 6 normal auto wounds, and a bunch of hits. 5 ups to wound, re-rolling 1s. Okay, -2 AP from the Thunderhammer, no saves. Catalyst blocks nothing. A Tyrant Guard is kasplatted big time. 20 hits at AP -1, 3 ups to save. Yikes, not good. Catalyst lets 6 go through, taking out another one, and drops the final Tyrant Guard to 2 wounds. The Lieutenant, 4 attacks with his power sword. Dense Chitin and Catalyst soak it all up. Apothecary gets a wounding hit, no AP, so that 2-up save comes in real handy for protection. Okay, alternating fights. The Lone Tyrant Guard. Now I recall the extra attack for being in proximity to the Hive Tyrant, so 3 hits on the chainsword fellows against transhuman, 1 wounding hit causing a single point of damage. The Hive Tyrant is within half an inch of a model within half an inch of the chainsword fellows, so let's give them some monstrous bonesword to chew on. Re-rolling 1s, 3 wounding hits and no saves, being that they are 3 damage each. 3 guys are chopped into bite-sized pieces. Intercessors in the ruin dish out 6 wounding hits, 1 goes through to reduce that last Tyrant Guard to a single wound. I activate Guide Mind across the swarm. Anything within Synapse gets an extra hit on natural 6s on ranged weapon hit rolls. The 3 warrior squad move onto the roof. The Zoanthropes advance into cover and get Warp Siphon so they can try and get some super smites off. And the Neurothrope stays on the objective but is within range to channel his psychic powers up to them and then into the foe. The Venomthropes jump forward into charge range. That Tyrant Guard isn't going to last long on 1 wound, so the Hive Tyrant is going to cast Catalyst on itself. And promptly fails. Oh, that's not good. I wished I had sent Warp Siphon his way, but then I did notice he's out of Synaptic Link anyway, so it wouldn't have worked. Paroxysm fails by 1. Damn, my psychic is sucking this game. Zoanthropes go with the smite with Warp Siphon and target that captain who keeps chucking the re-rolls all over the cosmos. Super Smites, D6 plus 3 mortal wounds, a 1. Damn it, dice. The apothecary is not close enough to help, but a chance to kill him has eluded me. Neurothrope with plus 2 to cast from Psychic Node and the Resonance Barb, he goes for a smite on the captain. 3 mortal wounds, the captain is assassinated, the re-rolls to hit are finally gone. And for his final shot, another smite on the lieutenant. Another single mortal wound. And I'm calling it there because smite is now up 2 points and it's not worth the risk. Okay, on to shooting. Venom cannon into the Hellblasters and not a single 6. But no command points left for them to do transhuman. 2s to wound, they all wound. -3 AP, so -2 because of the Armour of Contempt thing, and +1 because of the cover. 3 more go down. All the Death Spitters on the final Hellblaster. My opponent reminds me that, you can divide them up. I mean, this might be overkill and will waste a lot of your shots. But my rolling has been very feeble today, so I'm going all in. Re-rolling 1s, 2 6s explode. I gather up the whole handful, 3 up to wound. And I am proved horribly correct. Only 7 go through and he saves all but 1. He is alive on a single wound. Okay, it's on the Prime to take him out. 2 wounding hits and double 6s on the armor save. He is still alive. Okay, he has Armor of Contempt, not Armor of goddamn Invincibility. I have to take this guy out, just on general principle. The Venom Cannon from the 3 model squad fires, wounds, and he saves again. And the Death Spitters are out of range.
Don't you ever fucking die?
Okay, last chance. Big guns never tire. The Tyrant is not engaged with the Hellblaster, so he hoists a heavy venom cannon, puts the muzzle to the guy's chest and fires. 2 hits, only 1 wounds. He finally fails the armor save and the 4 wounds take him out. And the apothecary fails to save him. I had really expected to see 4 6s on that roll and have him just shrug off a point-blank mega cannon to the mush. The Venomthrope float in and charge. 6 wounding hits and no AP, and only 1 of them fails, but the Marines sustain an additional mortal from the toxic miasma. The Intercessors go for the Tyrant Guard and fail to inflict anything. To get some usage before he goes down, let's select the Tyrant Guard as we alternate fights, and only 1 hit, that fails. These guys are great at soaking up damage, not so great at dishing it out, it seems. The assault intercessors gather up some dice and take out the Tyrant Guard. The Hive Tyrant goes for the Lieutenant and gets 4 wounding hits. He goes with the invulnerable save to block 3 of them, but it still takes out more than half of his health. I then recalled, I forgot Trampling Charge. Damn it, that would have been so useful right now. The Apothecary attacks, but doesn't do anything. The Assault Intercessors pile in and start swinging as the hammer starts thundering, and the Venomthropes are all sent to stinky toxic heaven.
The chapter calls, and we answer.
The Apothecary heals the Lieutenant of 2 wounds of damage. They fall back out of the ruin using the Ultramarines thing of fall back and shoot. The Assault Intercessors get ready to all pile onto my Hive Tyrant, while my opponent's cat gives me some moral support. Some of the Intercessors open up on the Warriors and get a wound. The ones a little closer can get some rapid fire off and finish off that very same wounded warrior. The Lieutenant's Volkite pistol fails to affect the Tyrant. On to charge in. The Assault Intercessors pool up around the mighty Hive Tyrant and start hacking. 4 wounds go 3, 2 get the armor save, but then Adaptive Physiology for a 5-up and they get absorbed. Command point for Voracious Appetite for re-rolling wound rolls in melee, and another command point for Deploy Kitten in reserve to improve morale. 5 hits and no saves, so the Lieutenant is out of here. No more re-rolls for the Ultramarines. The Apothecary punches the Tyrant, but his chitin absorbs the trauma. Psychic Augmentation goes off this round. Everything gets +1 on psychic tests and also ignores mortal wounds on a 5+. The Tyranid warriors thin their lines out a little to get on the objective, freeing up the Neurothrope to possibly move out and extend synaptic link range. The Zoanthropes float out to get into cover and possible charge range, but mostly to re-establish synaptic link with the Hive Tyrant. Last game, they were awesome for engaging a unit, stopping shooting, and soaking up the abuse as they continued to chuck out the smites. The Neurothrope sends Warp Siphon to the Zoanthropes for 3d6 and discard 1, and possible Super Smites. With +3 to cast, Psychic Node, Resonance Barb, and Psychic Augmentation, it casts Hive Nexus to the Zoanthrope, and then to the Tyrant. It succeeds, and seeing as he is my only melee unit at present, let's not waste Goaded to Slaughter as a synaptic imperative, but rather use it as a psychic power single unit effect to give the Tyrant an additional hit on unmodified 6s. Catalyst chained all the way to the Tyrant, and we get a Perils. Catalyst is out yet again, and the Neurothrope takes 2 mortal wounds. And its third power is Paroxysm on the Assault Intercessors, and that does go off for -1 to wound. The Zoanthropes with Warp Siphon go for a smite on the Apothecary, +3 because there are 3 of them, and +1 for the Synaptic Imperative. Roll 3d6 and ditch 1, they get the Super Smite and do 5 mortals, but he saves and is reduced to 1 wound. The Hive Tyrant, +1 to cast, and goes for a smite to knock off that last lingering wound. He does 2 mortals, the Apothecary blocks 1, but the other is enough to finish him off. All 3 characters dead, assassin experience points are fully earned. And a harder to cast smite, 3 mortals on the chainsword guys. Okay, the Zoanthropes go for the charge. I need a 5, and roll a 5. Some claws and headbutts and oops, wait, I forgot shooting. Let's just rewind time for a moment.
Let me run that back for you.
The Tyranid warriors open up with Venom Cannon and kill 2 intercessors. The Death Spitters get 9 wounding hits, only 3 go through, and a guy goes down. The Prime utterly botches his rolls and does nothing. The Hive Tyrant takes a shot before the Zoanthropes engage, and 2 more Ultramarines perish as the Zoanthropes drift in and start clawing and headbutting but doing literally nothing. Gene Rot Might for auto wound 6s, the Warp Field soaks up most of the damage. The Hive Tyrant lets fly with his monstrous bone sword and carves apart the remaining assault intercessors. And that's it! I have all the objectives, the Ultramarines have all been consumed, the Tyrant Guard and Venom Thrope don't get battle scarred, but the Captain does, losing a point of movement. He tends to stay put, so they are going to save the requisition point and leave the injury in place, especially because I think they are going to do a reshuffle. Too many points invested in a high priority target in the form of the Hell Blasters. If I recall correctly, they were added to the army because of Crusher Stampede, when I was running big stuff, Exocrine, Carnifex, so maybe the Hell Blasters are obsolete. Now, I forgot, for the entire game, the 1 die reroll for Leviathan. Okay, going to make a post-it note and leave it atop my dice to remind me. It's just that, after playing Leviathan for a bunch of games now, I just dropped back into habit, I guess. I mean, I recalled that the 6-up save is gone, but forgot the thing that replaced it. Shard Lure is very effective. I need to remember Trampling Charge for the Hive Tyrant though. I think I need to keep Warp Siphon on the Neurothrope. Sure, it helps the Zoanthropes get super smites, but I think stopping the Neurothrope rolling perils is more important. It's chucking out 3 powers a turn at +2 to cast, that it can chain all the way to the front. So Catalyst, Paroxysm, Hive Nexus, all can be thrown in much more reliably. The Zoanthropes have +3 to cast anyways, so I'm going to just rely on them rolling okay and be merrily surprised with any super smites. The remaining Ultramarines fall back, the Captain having sustained a most grievous leg wound. The Tyranids decline to pursue and begin to search amongst the crates and other items that were awaiting shipment off-world. Ripping apart boxes and containers, they finally discover the tablets whose appearance matches the residual images wrenched from the brains of the slain science team. With their identity confirmed, the Neurothrope calls up its powers and funnels buffeting waves of warp energy to the Zoanthropes. The very air shimmers and contorts as reality begins to break apart. Blazing with power, they focus their fell might on the items, and amidst a ground-shuddering detonation, the tablets are atomized. Chunks of scorched earth rain down over the area as a rolling cloud rises up to reveal nothing but a smouldering crater that twitches with random arcs of lingering energy. Elsewhere, a foul and despondent mood rules the surviving Ultramarines, one accentuated by flares of pain as they bind and seal the worst of their many injuries. The Tyranids have obliterated the tablets that may have led to the location of the relic, and all the Battle Brothers lost trying to acquire it have traded in their lives for nothing. The banner of the chapter, touched by the hands of both Guilliman and Emperor, beloved by all, is likely lost forever. Octarius is falling. The future is looking bleak. Captain Casper is having his legs seen to, and the apothecary warns him that the damage is extensive and he will have diminished capabilities until he can get to a fully outfitted medical facility. Casper sardonically informs him that he has a limit for the good news he is willing to endure. But then, a shout goes up and a lieutenant brings over several data tablets that were salvaged from the dig site. Splashed with both Astartes blood and Tyranid gore, they are still operational and host a surprising secret. It seems that as the Tyranids siphoned the mental information from the organic brains of the scientists, the technological eluded them. The scientists were far from incompetent. The first thing they did when the tablets were found was to take high-resolution holographic scans from every angle. The seemingly irrelevant data tablets located at the dig site were far from inconsequential after all. The Ultramarines may not have the dig site tablets, but they have the information. Getting the physical information off-world is fraught with hazard, as Octarius space is swarming with Hive vessels. The solution is simple. Upload the scans and transmit the information. The apothecary does what he can as reinforcements begin a descent to their location. Captain Caspeth checks maps of the area and locates an unmanned communication node. This array is the best option to get the data off-world as quickly as possible. The hardware scans will be accompanying the Primaris, but even if they should fall, the information will survive and the crusade can and will continue.